guys, this is it. You're going to learn today how to properly transfer your vinyl to digital. I'm going to go through just a quick one-track step process so you can kind of get a feel as to what you want to do. Now, you already learned about hooking your turntable up into your amplifier. Now we need to get the turntable signal into the computer. But don't fret, there's a way to do that. Now, looking at our amplifier, which we have connected our turntable to, we need to get the signal coming from here into our computer over here. Now the first thing you want to do is make sure your computer has a line input. My little MacBook does. It's directly adjacent to the headphone jack right there. Now on PCs it's going to be a blue colored jack. The green is the output, the blue is the input, the pink is the mic. Go for the blue. If your computer does not have an analog audio input, you're going to need an analog to USB converter. That's a whole separate process. I do not have that, therefore I cannot give you a demonstration today on how to do that. However, there are plenty of devices out there that sell for about $40 to $50 which do that job, which can make the process easier. But anyways, on we go. Now that we have the turntable plugged in, we need to get the sound into the computer. Now what I've done is I have a connector, and what this is an RCA to 1/8 inch stereo adapter, and you want to get, it's a whole cable. On one end it's got RCAs like your turntable does, and on the other end it's got a headphone jack. Get the gold plated one, spend the extra couple bucks. It will save you headaches when the connections drop out. And get the whole cable, do not get the RCA and then the separate adapter that attaches to the RCAs. Meaning, don't get two separate pieces. If there's a break in the cable, there will be hum and noise. Don't do it. So anyway, what we're doing here is we're connecting this cable to the turntable input. Right here. See how that goes in nice and fresh there? Okay. Now what we have to do, if it's Windows, you need to open your sound control panel, go to your input section, and select line in instead of microphone. If you're on Mac, open your system preferences and go to sound. And we're going to select the line in built-in input as opposed to the microphone. And initially, you want your audio setting to be at around 30%. I have mine at 33, that seems to work. So, close that, you're done there. Now, Google Audacity, I believe it's audacity.sourceforge.net, although that link could be bad. Google it, for God's sake, we have Google, it's a great tool, use it. And I have downloaded Audacity. I have 1.3, which seems to be a handy version that I like. And here's what the Audacity screen basically looks like. You start with a blank slate. Now what we have to do, before anything else, is we go to our Audacity preferences here. And then under Devices, use the default setting for both playback and recording. Under recording section, go to make sure it's on built-in input and make sure you have stereo selected and not mono. And say OK. And again, confirm that your input levels are about where you set them in your sound control panel. Now you may have to do a little trial and error. Basically, when you start recording, you have a spectral readout of what's going on. And for you Apple users, Apple Shift and F fills the screen for better viewing purposes. It's probably something different for Windows. It's been a long time since I've used a Windows box. Got sick of broken Windows. Anyway, that rivalry aside, here is your main Audacity recording window. You have two channels, your left and your right. And you have your reference point, which is 0 dB. And you have 100 dB, which is at the top. That's all the headroom you get. Use it wisely. Don't use compression techniques. Learn how to set it up. Just for grins and giggles, we're just going to, I got some Martin Denny here, haha, and we're just going to drop this on the needle, and we're going to do a bass recording. We see here that the levels are peaking around -6. That's kind of where you want it to be. If you really want to get a better idea as to what your level should be, get a really loud record. Play some Who, play some Led Zeppelin, play some like Supertramp, something with a lot of dynamic range, and you want to set the input levels so that the recording level does not exceed the headroom. That way you get the most dynamic range. You select the loudest portion of the music, set your input level, and you get a nice dynamic range there. And that's the best way to do it. So now that we've done that, we've kind of done a basic level test. We cue up and we drop down. We're just going to do one short track here to make it extremely easy on us. Always cue a little bit far back, and as we cue down, I'm going to hit the record. And as you can see, there's our music. So, you can see it as it plays out. And you can see the little peaks and transients and frequency response, and you can see how this is a fairly quiet passage, so it's not filling the entire thing. Jazz and kind of chill and lounge stuff makes it really easy to see how much dynamic range can be in music. You don't want it to be all in a uniform volume, because then it has no feeling, there's no emotion to the music, it's just bland. Which is unfortunately what a lot of modern stuff is, because the engineers don't know how to engineer music anymore. It's kind of sad. So I could do the entire album, but for the purpose of simplicity, what we're going to do is I'm going to stop it here at about 1 minute and 10 seconds. And I'm going to cue up here and return this to the rest so it stops. So, for example's sake, here is what we have. Now, there's a couple things that you can do. First off the bat is you want to edit your needle drop position. You drag the slider here at the bottom all the way to the front. You can also alternatively use these buttons up here, return to start. And we can see the needle drop point here, and we can see where the music begins here. So what I like to do, that's your edit point. However, it's nice to leave the silence here because you can see what noise figures you have, any sort of rumble or hiss. The first thing I like to do with these is get rid of the rumble. And so what we're going to do is we're going to select all, and under effects, here I have the built-in Apple high pass filter, which is labeled AU high pass. And I found that there's a glitch in this program, which if you try to enter it manually, it will not erase the old value first. Even if you highlight it and make it die, it does not get rid of it all the way. So instead what I do, I leave the resonance alone, and I drag the slider down, and we're looking for about 15 Hertz. So 15.5, that's fine. And we select OK. That's going to take out your rumble. You want to do that. Especially if it's an older worn out record, it's going to have a lot of rumble to it. And the rumble is simply below audible range, low frequency noise, which will eat up a lot of your amp's headroom. So do that. Make sure it's about 15 Hertz. Any more than that, you start to eat up music information. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use a click removal. Now this record's pretty clean, but if yours aren't, use this. My best settings have been a 282 threshold and 18 spike width. The more spike width you have, the more pops it will take out, but it will also attack percussion. And again, the lower the threshold number is, the more sensitive it is to noise, and the more it may mistake noise for clicks and pops. So be careful with that. Again, 282 and 18 seem to be the happy values. Okay, let's say we've done all the editing we wanted to do, and I want to export it. We come up to File, and we say Export. And we pick a file, and we're just going to say sample file, and we're going to save that to our desktop. Now, under Formats, the default is MP3. You may wish to change that. You have quite a variety of options here, from other uncompressed to AVE to WAVE to OGG Vorbis to FLAC to MP2. I mean, the list goes on. It's really great. I have limited space on this laptop, so I do in MP3. On my other master server, I have nothing but waves. So under options, I shoot for the best quality. Bitrate mode should be constant, 320K. You can do a variable or an average rate, but really if you want the best sound quality, stay with a constant bitrate of 320. Use stereo instead of joint. And click Save. And then what it's going to do is it's going to ask for a meta tag. You can choose to fill this out if you like. It definitely helps your iTunes or Winamp or whatever media management you're using work better. And once you've done all of this, just click OK, and it will export it. And then you can use whatever media player you so desire to dial it in. So that's it. We're done. That is the short and brief tutorial on how to get your vinyl onto digital. So play around with this some. Visit discussion forums about doing this. This is the quick and easy way to do it that yields the best results. Use a nice turntable, use a nice cartridge, spend a little bit of money. If you're going to archive these in a permanent fashion, save time and money by getting the good stuff right off the bat. I hope you've enjoyed this little informative video, and happy listening.